Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your agent of comic book knowledge. Not as much as I used to have, or as much as I might have, but I used to have a lot, and I don't have as much anymore. But I do know about this. Today, we are going to be reviewing a very important comic book indeed. It is All Star Comics number 3 from 1940. It was actually released in it's volume one, cover dated December 1940. Wait, let's get right over here to this next one. Oh, teeny tiny, a whopping 10 cents. It's the winter issue. It was published in November 22nd, 1940. So unlike today's comics that have 3 to 5 months, well, 3 months generally ahead of their the issue date is 3 months ahead. This one was barely a month ahead, but it is the winter issue, and comic books are still in their infancy, which is hard to believe. But before we get too much further in it, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell to be notified of new content daily. And having said all that, well, they don't have a there's no cry for the battle cry for the Justice League. And yes, I'm quite aware that I think I just said Justice League and I meant Justice Society, but neither of them had a battle cry. So, which is unusual. I mean, that's one of the cool things about Marvel. Well, at least the Avengers. They had catchphrases. I don't think any of these guys had. Well, the Green Lantern. We'll get into his catchphrase. It's not really a catchphrase, but he did have something. But anyway, so here's the comic book that I have. I got it from mycomicshop.com, which I highly recommend. You can find it. Their service is impeccable. Their grading's great. When I started reading it the other day and realized this would make, I haven't talked about a comic book recently, so on Wednesday, since it's printed review day, I thought we'd do that. Be that as it may, mine cost me a whopping, well, it probably cost me about $7 to buy it. I think it's been reprinted several times since then. This one came from June of 2000, so it was released probably in April of 2000, April or March of 2000. And I had one at the time, but in my many moves, I probably don't have it anymore. But we're just going to go through some of it. And there's the basic Justice Society. You'll notice there are no women present, though it took 5 issues. Wonder Woman's first appearance was in All Star Comics number 8, where she joined, but that was her first story. But she did join quite rapidly and immediately became their secretary, because 1940s, the most powerful woman and stronger than, well, probably two of them, everybody but two of them. Even, well, be that as it may, we'll get into that later. And so the first two All Star comics were just anthologies, giving the various heroes a chance to shine outside of their own books. But the third one was when they said, "Hey, let's make these an official team." So it's not a team up story. They don't all go out and fight the same villain. They all go out and fight different villains. Johnny Thunder is there. He's not mentioned, and I should have used that. I don't even know why. Oh, probably because, nope. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's go back. So Johnny Thunder is the catalyst. He wants to go there, and he says, "Say, you think those guys would invite me? I can't believe I didn't put this in there." And he's kicking a fire hydrant, but as soon as he says the "say you," which is the magic words for his Bandonesian Thunderbolt, who's now got a name, and I don't know what it is, but he was just called Thunderbolt. And Johnny doesn't know he's got the Thunderbolt. He doesn't know why he gets zoomed around and placed in places. He's very much a comedic character, and I really like him, and I really like the Thunderbolt, just because Johnny was innocent. I'd say he was. There's a whole long story, and maybe we'll get into it. But He's flying around. He runs into Dr. Fate. They're all because he thinks that he should be there. He gets there, and a bunch of other misunderstandings happen thanks to Johnny. And he says he's got an idea. Why don't you tell us story your cases? So our first case is about the Flash and the wreck of the Sancta Joanna. And so we're just going to go through a page or two of each one. The Flash is underwater. Somehow it seems like he's breathing underwater just fine now. This male, and he's running underwater just fine. Anyone who's tried to run in water knows, especially if you're above your waist, you can't run in water unless even a soup. It'd still slow him down. I don't think Aquaman had been invented yet, or created yet, but the Submariner was around, and he could swim. I like how the shark has thought balloons. It's that smart. Mama help Mama. They did not take the these very seriously, but it's funny. And the artwork there is, of course, let's look here. We can pull this down. The writer of the whole thing was Gardner Fox, who then later on would create the Silver Age characters and the Justice League. For this one, the penciler is Everett E. Hibbard, and he also inked himself. And next up is the Spectre. How did I miss? I think I went out of. Where is the Spectre? Oh, is the name of it. And actually, Jerry Siegel and Gardner Fox wrote this one. Jerry Siegel, of course, the creator of Superman. It's drawn by Bernard Bailey, inked and lettered by Bernard Bailey. There's Jim Corrigan. The Spectre's human identity. Now, the Spectre, I don't know if he was as all-powerful as he is now. He wasn't the vengeance of God or the higher power, or whatever you call him. But look, there's Higgin-Toot, because Higgin-Toot he's a superhero and belongs in his own superhero team, doesn't he? Anyway, so there's right there. Spectre beats up a dragon. He just floats to other. I mean, he's ridiculously overpowered because he's a ghost, but then talks to God. So I'm sure I thought I know for sure. So our next, then we've got the Our Man story, where Our Man goes to a party and there's a bunch of different Our Men there dressed up as him. Fortunately, he digs his drug, Miraclo, depending on how you want to say it. It took me ages to realize that's what they were saying in the Green Arrow show, that first season when they were on the island, that was the drug they were taking. But they tried to spell it in or tried to pronounce it as a Japanese word, but really it's Our Man's Miraclo, which gave him super strength, super abilities for an hour. Not super, I mean, he had extra strength, but I'm sure the crash was not fun. And later on, they definitely said he had an addiction. So, and then Ma Hunkel appears, the Red Tornado. Now here, everyone knows that Ma Hunkel, the Red Tornado, is a woman. So, so in 1940, DC Comics had a character a woman dressed up as a man, literally in drag, pretending to be a man. The people she beats, she's so tough, rough and tumble and tough that she beats up all the bad guys. I thought she was in Sensation Comics, but apparently she was in All American. I had that first issue she appeared in, and it's definitely a comedy one. There, I believe that's the interlude. Sheldon Meyer wrote that, so Ma stays in character, which is why they're all laughing. So she talks like Ben Grimm, though. Notice, I love the fact that the first Red Tornado is a woman, and most people didn't know that. And I guess the Justice Society did. I don't know how. All right, next we have the original Sandman. Let's see, the Sandman fighting Dr. Faversham. And, he's definitely he doesn't have a sidekick, but he does later on, named Sandy. Once again, teenage sidekicks were a thing. But Sandy was never a part of him when he was dressed in his original costume, being a Green Hornet clone. And here we have Dr. Fate, and there's Inza. Now, if you look here, the E's, these E's always have an elongated middle strike. So every one of them. And I'm assuming that that's just uh, a picadillo of the artist, Howard Sherman. Gardner Fox wrote this, of course, as well, and he wrote the Dr. Faversham story. And there's Inza, his wife, who, once again, no secret identity there. The Flash's wife, Joan, always knew who he was. I like that. There's a prose Johnny Thunder story. Say you. You can see that's. And there's, if you want to read it, you can. You can pause. I'll wait, or just hit the pause button. And then there's more blurb there for the upcoming next quarterly. And then the Atom. Somehow I missed the whole. Let's see. That was written by Evelyn Gaines and illustrated by Sheldon Moldoff. The Atom was written by Bill O'Connor and penciled by Ben Flinton. This is the Brooklyn Murder Trust. So the Atom was like 5'2". I love the fact that he was played in Black Adam. He was played by Henry Winkler, the original Al Pratt was, who is not very tall. I just thought that was amazing. I mean, I know people didn't like that movie, and I think I was the only one that saw it, but I really liked that touch. I did not include the Hawks in here at all. What the heck is going on? Um, so Flash has to run up to Washington, D.C. I don't know exactly where they're stationed, probably Metropolis. A lot of them did out there. So the Hawkman story was written by Gardner Fox and illustrated by Sheldon Moldoff, and I really thought I had the dang thing in there. But apparently, let's see, since you're only on this one, you can't see what I'm looking at. And no, I don't think I actually got it. Of all the things, I studied this a lot. Sorry, but you do see the Hawks a lot. Well, I say the Hawks, it's just Hawkman, but Cher is in it. I know I took that picture. Maybe I just didn't copy it down. Sorry, folks. And then we've got a Green Lantern story. Uh, and you'll notice that Green Lantern, as Lilith knows and says his oath, the original oath. Yes, Lilith did look that up once upon a time. She also knows the other one, although she denies it. Okay. And where is Green Lantern here? Hawkman. See, now this doesn't even have it listed. But it's probably illustrated by Martin Odell. Synopsis: the police commissioner Mason. Oh, it doesn't even say. So Martin Odell, who also invented my eternal nemesis, the I almost said Mr. Stay Puft, but Poppin' Fresh. I know they're very similar, but why is that not up here? You're not helping me here, people. Johnny, Justice, Spectre, Flash. No, it's not listed up there. So they might not have had the credits, but it's probably him. Really nice. He and his wife were the nicest couple that I've ever met at San Diego Comic-Con. I met a lot of nice people. So there we go. So the FBI wants to meet the justice. So this is the last page, and everyone's going to meet, and so they're teasing you for the next issue. And so and I'm sure this was a big success because who wouldn't want to see all their favorite heroes teamed up all at once? The Justice Society did have these was the original 8 members plus Johnny and Ma, honorary members. Johnny later would become a real member. And there they are, the original 8. And they would explain why Batman and Superman were honorary members because they really didn't need to be in a comic book because they had two each of their own by now, and World's Finest. So they could, there was a lot of Batman and Superman to go around. Now, there's the original page there. That's the centerpiece. It doesn't credit Johnny or Ma or the Red Tornado. Here's This was done in the 70s, probably. It's by Jerry Ordway. Well, he probably did it later. It's based on the 70s, even though Red Tornado had been on Earth 1 for a long time by then. There's the original Huntress, Batman and Catwoman's daughter, retired Batman. There's the Thunderbolt himself with Johnny, and Hawkman in his not as much fun headgear. And all of these people would in and out. Wonder Woman with gray hair, um, Adam. So this part is the newer ones, the Star Spangled Kid, who would later become Starman, and then another Starman. And so one, two, three. Oh, Power Girl. One, two, three. The second Red Tornado, of course, the android, who I'm a big fan of. Go figure. One, two, three, four women in the entire bunch. And there's the grown up Robin in a better suit than the one he had in the 70s. And here is our Bat Justice Society pinup page from, I don't know where that one's actually from, but it's great. And you can see, you don't see the Thunderbolt, but everybody's there. Two women, only two. Two. It's probably from the early 70s. And there's Robin in his original Batman ripoff costume. And I love that Ma Hunkel is giving the original Red Tornado is giving the second Red Tornado the side eye. Doctor Fate in his full helmet. So with these three people right there, they and Wonder Woman, you really wouldn't need. They could pretty much solve everything. So Mr. Terrific himself was only in one episode, one issue of the original Justice All Star comics, and Black Canary joined after the war. And boy, we're not even going to talk about her, how she got over to Earth One. So you don't see the Seven Soldiers of Victory or anyone else from the All Star Squadron like Johnny Quick or Liberty Bell, but we'll talk about them later. I just wanted to. Oh, and here's a nice picture of Johnny looking much cooler than he ever did in the comics. I don't know what this kid is and the dog, but he had the hots for Black Canary. But there's our review. This time I didn't just flip pages back and forth, but I did miss the Hawks. I still feel bad about that. Shiera is in it. These are Carter Hall and later Shiera Hall. Once again, no secret identities between married people. But that is our episode for today, my fellow agents. It's a fun comic. They'll probably reissue it again if you want to buy it. You can't buy the original one in mint condition, that's for sure. So, until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off, and I'll be seeing you.